High in the heavens, the sun small shadow made, when Cadmus, wondering what detained his men, prepared to follow them. Clothed in a skin torn from a lion, he was armed, complete, with lance of glittering steel, and with a dart. But passing these he had a dauntless soul. When he explored the grove, and there beheld the lifeless bodies, and above them stretched the vast victorious dragon, licking up the blood that issued from their ghastly wounds, his red tongues dripping gore. Then Cadmus filled with rage and grief. "Behold, my faithful ones, I will avenge your deaths, or I will share it." He spoke, and lifted up a millstone huge in his right hand, and having poised it, hurled with a tremendous effort, dealing such a blow would crush the strongest builded walls. Yet neither did the dragon flinch the shock, nor was he wounded, for his armour scales, fixed in his hard and swarthy hide, repelled the dreadful impact. Not the javelin thus, so surely by his armoured skin was foiled, for through the middle segment of his spine the steel point pierced, and sank beneath the flesh, deep in his entrails. Writhing in great pain, he turned his head upon his bleeding back, twisting the shaft, with force prodigious shook it back and forth, and wrenched it from the wound, with difficulty wrenched it. But the steel remained securely fastened in his bones, such agony but made increase of rage. His throat was swollen with great knotted veins, a white froth gathered on his poisonous jaws, the earth resounded with his rasping scales. He breathed upon the grass a pestilence, steaming mephitic from his Stygian mouth. His body writhes up in tremendous gyres. His folds, now straighter than a beam, untwist. He rushes forward on his vengeful foe, his great breast crushing the deep-rooted trees. Small space gave Cadmus to the dragon's rage, for by the lion's spoil he stood the shock, and thrusting in his adversary's jaws, the trusted lance gave check his mad career. Wild in his rage, the dragon bit the steel and fixed his teeth on the keen biting point. Out from his poisoned palate streams of gore spouted and stained the green with sanguine spray. Yet slight the wound, for he recoiled in time, and drew his wounded body from the spear. By shrinking from the sharp steel, saved his throat a mortal wound. But Cadmus, as he pressed the spear point deeper in the serpent's throat, pursued him till an oak tree barred the way. To this he fixed the dragon through the neck. The stout trunk, bending with the monster's weight, groaned at the lashing of his serpent tail. While the brave victor gazed upon the bulk enormous of his vanquished foe, a voice was heard, from whence was difficult to know, but surely heard. "Son of Agenor, why art thou here standing by this carcass worm? For others shall behold thy body changed into a serpent." Terrified, amazed, he lost his colour and his self-control. His hair stood upright from the dreadful fright. But lo, the hero's watchful deity, Minerva, from the upper realms of air appeared before him. She commanded him to sow the dragon's teeth in mellowed soil, from which might spring another race of men. And he obeyed, and as he ploughed the land, took care to scatter in the furrowed soil the dragon's teeth, a seed to raise up man. 'Tis marvellous but true. When this was done, the clods began to move. A spear point first appeared above the furrows, followed next by helmet-covered heads, nodding their cones, their shoulders, breasts, and arms weighted with spears, and largely grew the shielded crop of men. So is it in the joyful theatres when the gay curtains, rolling from the floor, are upward drawn until the scene is shown. It seems as if the figures rise to view. First we behold their faces, then we see their bodies, and their forms by slow degrees appear before us on the painted cloth. Cadmus, affrighted by this host, prepared to arm for his defence. But one of those from earth created cried, "Arm not! Away from civil wars!" And with his trenchant sword he smote an earth-born brother, hand to hand. Even as the vanquished, so the victor fell. Pierced by a dart some distant brother hurled, and likewise he who cast that dart was slain, both breathing forth their lives upon the air so briefly theirs, expired together. All as if demented leapt in sudden rage, each on the other, dealing mutual wounds. So, having lived the space allotted them, the youthful warriors perished as they smote the earth, their blood-stained mother, with their breasts, and only 5 of all the troop remained, of whom Echion, by Minerva warned, called on his brothers to give up the fight, and cast his arms away in pledge of faith. When Cadmus, exiled from Sidonia's gates, builded the city by Apollo named, these 5 were trusted comrades in his toil.